Yeah, it's been a long time. Too long, in fact. You see, Muse, I kind of depend upon these conversations that you and I have, and I have failed this city, as it were. What's been going on? I've been so busy. And I found myself in this kind of convoluted, not mess, but let me explain. At one time, I was working on writing the third book in the Reaper series, editing the second book in the Reaper series, proofing Zombie Radio 3, recording the audiobook of Frankenstein Theory, and rereading and creating a second edition of The Dark Seduction all at once. And I'm still okay. I did finish proofing and publish, and To Kill a Reaper is published, so that's off the docket. I am 2 chapters left. No, 2 chapters and an epilogue left of recording the audiobook for Frankenstein Theory, and I'm less than 20,000 words remaining to finish the third book in the Reaper series, which has no title yet. And I am just really getting started on the proofing of Zombie Radio 3, which has to be done very soon. And I had to set aside the going through The Dark Seduction so I could proofread Zombie Radio 3. And I have to get The Dark Seduction done because I'm going to start working on the sequel for that book. And at the same time, I'm wanting to go through all of my books and with an eye to cleaning them up. Because I think I've reached that point in my career where it's sort of second edition time. And it's hard. It's hard because I wrote The Dark Seduction almost 3 years ago. And looking back on it, as I'm rereading it, I'm thinking, wow, I wrote this? And now don't get me wrong, I think it's a very good story, and I think for the most part it's written well. But the good news is that I have improved. And I actually think I've dramatically improved. Because I'm looking at this going, I could have written this so much better. So I'm not rewriting it. I'm cleaning it up. I'm not rewriting it because I think it needs to be cleaned up. And I'm probably going to go back through all my books and give them each a second edition treatment. Not now because I'm just too busy. And one thing that's come out of this is besides the good news, the realization of my skills having been improved. Also, my eye for a better process. My process has changed dramatically over the last year, and so much for the better. But also, while recording the audiobook for Frankenstein Theory, I realized that I want to do the sequel to that book. I had originally thought, after I finished the book originally, I was going to do a sequel. And I set the book up such that it's obvious that I was going to write a sequel. But then time passed, and I thought, well, let's diversify that series a little bit, and we'll have the theory series. I've already got a Dracula theory planned. I've got a really good idea for that. But and so I was just going to go through all of the old classical monsters and give them my theory treatment. But I really want to write that sequel to Frankenstein Theory, and I'm probably going to do that. Now I'm still going to do the theory series, but Muse, you helped me create this story, this Frankenstein story. It's Frankenstein story in such a way that it begs to have a sequel. And so I'm going to do it. I don't know when. It's been crazy, I would have thought And I think any other author would have thought that my idea for slowing down my process would have given me more time. But instead, it's given me less time. Because here's what's going on. Here's what happens. When I said I've slowed down my process, what I mean by that is the process post first draft has slowed down. I'm still cranking out the first drafts at the same pace I was. So about every 2 months, I get a first draft of a book done. And then once it hits the editorial and publication phase, everything slows down. So each book can be given the treatment that it deserves, because that's what I wasn't doing before. That was the big lesson that I learned over this last year. And no, it wasn't a lesson. It wasn't your responsibility to teach me that lesson, because you are the idea man, woman, tilde. You're the idea tilde. I don't know what I'm saying. But what I'm finding is that the editorial process is starting to back up, and that's fine, because I have come to the realization that release dates aren't as important. You know, I know that a lot of authors make a really big deal out of release dates, and I probably should too, but I am finding, at least for me, the most important element of this, the thing that needs the most attention, is the editorial phase. The first draft phase, that part which you and I work together on, is really simple for me. And those words and ideas just flow out of me like a river of bleh. It just comes out. And on the other end of that, we're currently in a state with publication, everything is kind of hitting a wall. And I firmly believe that there are more writers than there are readers at the moment. And so I find right now spending so much energy on promoting is somewhat wasted, when that energy could be redirected back into the editing process so that what you publish is as good as it can be, as close to perfection as you can get. That, for me, right now, at this point in my career, is key. And I believe that for the rest of my career, that's going to be the case. Because at one point in my career as a writer, I was, and I'm not ashamed to admit this, but I do admit this, that I was more focused on releasing as much as possible, and the quality suffered. Even though I was still paying my editor, and she was doing a great job, but the quality still suffered. And so now I'm at the point in my career where the quality is the single most important element of this process. So I'm taking my time, and I'm releasing fewer books. Because of that, I think I'm putting less energy on the promotion, more energy on the editing, and the same amount of energy on the creation process, because, me and you are simpatico on how important the creative process is. But yeah, even though I've slowed it down, I am crazy busy. And I work better that way, I know this. But I just have to make sure that I'm directing or redirecting the correct amount of energy and effort towards the middle section of the process, because I think that's the most important section of the process. I am going to write this sequel to the Frankenstein theory. I think I've enjoyed recording that audiobook more so than any other that I've done. And that says a lot, because I've enjoyed a lot of them. And I will be finishing the third book in the Reaper series, and I'm sure by the time I get this done, you'll be smacking me upside the face with the inspiration for the fourth book in that series, because yes, it is going to go beyond a trilogy. I managed to didn't really have to try hard to convince Devil Dog Press to make that an ongoing series. I was very happy about that. But that's where we are right now. And I apologize that I haven't had a conversation with you in a while, but I haven't had time. I know, shame on me. I should always make time for my muse. Always. It's just what happens. I got caught up. In the thrill. It wasn't really thrill. Anyway, I'm going to go back to the grind. I've got a lot of words to crank out. Thank you for the constant deluge of ideas. It never stops, and I will never stop that connection, because you are my lifeline to creativity, Muse. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mwah! Mwah! Have a wonderful day, Muse.